Hello, I'm Christopher Nguyen and this is my video presentation for EDFD546 in which I'll be discussing major approaches to educational constructivism together with their applications to modern ICT tools in a classroom setting. Constructivism is an approach in educational philosophy that views all learning as self-regulated, being a constant process of cause and effect, testing and retesting, and building on pre-existing knowledge maintained by students. It had its beginnings with the works of the psychologist Jean Piaget. For him, it was important that rather than passively receiving knowledge passed on from parents or teachers, the child actively constructs knowledge. In a classroom environment and an education context, this means that students would genuinely learn better from direct experience rather than being told how or what it is by a teacher. Consequently, for knowledge to be memorable or malleable, it must be able to be personally experienced by the student. Lev Vygotsky generated ideas about constructivism and how one's environment could be an influential factor. Vygotsky furthered Piaget's approach to constructivism by emphasizing the social elements inherent in student learning. Learning not only should be experienced by the student, moreover, teachers should ensure that the learning can be related to by the student by incorporating their social-cultural elements such as understandings of how they interact socially with their peers. Therefore, teachers should remember how and that learning not only exists within the individual, such as with the more traditional psychological constructivism approach. For social constructivism, learning is dependent on consciously and positively constructed environments. Moving away from Piaget's student-centered approach and Vygotsky's environment-centered approach, John Dewey not only built upon their ideas, but also emphasized the role of the teacher or instructor in constructivism. Pragmatic constructivism thus dictates that what is successfully learned or experienced by students should be repeated, since the effective practical application of such learning becomes precedent. In a sense, this is almost like a constructivist approach to constructivism for practitioners, allowing them to test and implement what best works for their students. It addresses some of the socio-cultural limitations of Piaget's approach, as well as the more minimized role of the teacher in Vygotsky's approach by striking a middle line between them. It is now essential for all practicing teachers to know how to properly employ ICT in teaching. The ACARA, for example, suggests that students should learn how to investigate, create, communicate, manage, and operate with ICT to augment their learning in the classroom and beyond. The same concepts apply to many of the state syllabi, in that a major learning focus and outcome of subjects is ICT competency. I will now explore 3 ICT tools which may be used by teachers in classrooms and, using my understandings of educational constructivism, discuss their effectiveness for learning, suitability for diverse learners, as well as any ethical implications involved. YouTube is an incredibly versatile platform which can be used to introduce students to brand new topics, all the way to getting them to research and create their own video presentations as a demonstration of their knowledge and skill on a particular topic or concept. To demonstrate its value as an introductory tool, a simple search of ancient Rome suggests many different results ranging from an overview of the historical period to more niche videos on, for example, bread in ancient Rome. Since constructivism suggests that students are more in touch with ideas or practices they are already familiar with, using YouTube videos can tap into their pre-existing notions of learning via online videos, or, at the very least, spark initial interest into doing so. Regarding students' existing schemas, video learning is common to many modern students. There are of course many ethical implications concerning the use of YouTube. The platform has historically been subjected to limited access from student devices in schools, or else outright blocked on student-to-school networks. Understandably, there is always a risk of students searching for irrelevant or inappropriate material. Although these days the YouTube search mechanism as will be demonstrated, does a terrific job at suggesting similar videos. Nevertheless, the onus is on the teacher to clearly provide and enforce rules relating to access and use, as negative habits can form if students are allowed to search for material not related to learning. And since YouTube is a free-to-access platform allowing for practically anyone with a computer or smart device to upload videos, teachers must also assess the credibility and relevance of the video resource before showing it to their students to set the right example for usage. Another ICT tool which I'm interested in utilizing is Google Classroom. Besides from being a solid organizational tool for teachers, its other value seems to be in its function as a discussion board. Google Classroom is intuitive and easy to navigate. In the example for this video, I've created a test classroom and was able to browse some of its key features. There's a tab for marks, so that's more for organizing rather than teaching a classroom. A tab for setting classwork for students to access and complete. A tab for holding student discussions with students or posting announcements. And a tab for which teachers can view the students enrolled in their class. Referring to social constructivism, students' learning are influenced by how they interact with their environment and their peers. Students are often more comfortable with sharing their critical and creative thoughts through an online format, some more so than in real life. Accordingly, Google Classroom is perhaps best used consistently between the classroom and the student's home when they are completing their after-school homework. Many of its learning advantages would be lost if it was confined to classroom or home use. And one of the ethical and safety issues commonly encountered by teachers who choose to use this ICT tool is not knowing whether students in class on their computer devices are actively working between Google Classroom and tasks requiring computer access, or using their device for social media, to provide an example. Just like with YouTube, it is important for teachers to monitor their students closely and set clear guidelines for access. Moreover, a unique challenge is to consider the implications of overusing Google Classroom, as it should not be a substitute for real interactions. Blogger, as well as other related free-to-access blogging platforms, can also be used effectively and ethically by teachers to promote student learning. Compared to Google Classroom, where students can readily share their thoughts in relation to teachers and peers' questions, Blogger is probably more like YouTube in that it allows for students to exercise their ICT and research skills coupled with creative and critical thinking. It is evidently a student-centric tool best used during the course of learning to assist with students' independent thinking and knowledge on a certain topic, but it can also be used formatively and summatively. For example, teachers may set assessments which ask for students to create their own journal entry or article in relation to a relevant topic of their choosing, which has been discussed with the teacher. They then subsequently have full creative control over the outcome of their work. Students can choose between preset themes and layouts for their work presentation, view teachers' or peers' comments on their work, and manage their entries before publishing onto their blog. A major advantage of a blog is its ability to keep knowledge well organized and maintained. Particularly relevant to constructivism is the idea of an online creative subculture shared by many students today, in that they enjoy documenting and sharing their lives and thoughts in the internet space. Hence, students would already be more inclined to make good use of Blogger to further their learning, as it is already a platform similar to what they use. Teachers should report and action any instances of cyberbullying, which is a key ethical and safety concern with many of these ICT tools, where anonymity can easily be employed to attack others. On balance, ICT tools are an essential component of any modern classroom, not only because they exist and are available at the teacher's convenience, but because many of them are already understood and used by students. Thank you for viewing this presentation.